Welcome to the Silent Lodge, where history isn't just told, it whispers through time. If you're fascinated by the hidden horrors behind innocent-sounding tales, make sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell. You won't want to miss the shadows we're about to unveil. Mary, quite contrary, a rhyme we've all heard. Its melody innocent, almost playful. But behind those lines lies a labyrinth of power, blood, and betrayal. First recorded in 1744, this nursery rhyme isn't just a children's jingle. It's a cryptic puzzle box filled with political intrigue and chilling allegories. One theory claims the rhyme reflects the stormy legacy of Mary, Queen of Scots, whose reign from 1542 to 1567 was marred by rebellion, scandal, and murder. A Catholic monarch in a land shifting toward Protestantism. Mary's life was as turbulent as it was tragic. How does your garden grow? Some say this line references the fertile lands of Scotland under her rule. Beautiful, yet contested. The silver bells might not be flowers at all, but the solemn chimes of Catholic cathedrals. An echo of her devout faith in a time of sectarian divide. And what of the cockle shells? Some historians believe they allude to a decorative gown gifted by the French court, embroidered with exotic motifs, including shells. To Protestants, her ornate Catholic fashion wasn't just flamboyant, it was provocative. A queen out of place in her own kingdom. Pretty maids all in a row may point to the queen's loyal handmaidens. For young women who accompanied her from France to Scotland, their presence seems innocent. They were often criticized for their influence and gossip within the court. But not all versions of the rhyme end gently. An earlier variation ends with the line, "Sing cuckolds all in a row," a biting accusation of infidelity and humiliation. Could this have been a reference to Mary's romantic entanglements and controversial marriages? Her life at court, especially during her marriages, was riddled with rumor. In a world where every glance sparked whispers and every decision invited scandal, Mary's reputation as a tragic seductress took shape, part victim, part villain. Mary's marriage to Lord Henry Darnley seemed, at first, like a union born of power and strategy. Darnley, charismatic and ambitious, was also her cousin, a man whose royal blood bolstered her claim to the English throne. But beneath the grandeur of their wedding vows, something volatile simmered. The passion that once united them soon gave way to resentment. Darnley, hungry for control, wanted more than partnership. He wanted dominance. But Mary, no stranger to sovereign power, had no intention of stepping aside. Their love story soured, curdling into mutual suspicion and loathing. Enter David Rizzio, Mary's Italian-born private secretary. Charming, eloquent, and musically gifted, Rizzio quickly became one of Mary's most trusted confidants. His presence at court, however, sparked tension, not just for his influence, but for what people believed was happening behind closed doors. Rumors ignited. Some claimed Rizzio had captured not just the queen's ear, but her heart. And as Mary's belly began to swell with pregnancy, the court buzzed with speculation. Was the child truly Darnley's? Or was Rizzio the real father? Jealousy took root. Paranoia blossomed. Darnley, already slipping into erratic behavior and bitter infidelity, became obsessed with the idea that Rizzio had betrayed him. Together with his father and a group of conspirators, he devised a plan as bold as it was brutal. On March 9, 1566, darkness descended upon Holyrood House. Round 80 armed men, led by the enigmatic Lord Ruthven, moved silently through the palace halls. Their goal, to confront Rizzio during supper and make him pay. The peace shattered as the grand doors burst open. Ruthven, pale and grim in his armor, pointed an accusing finger at Rizzio. Mary, shocked, tried to de-escalate the situation. She pleaded with Ruthven to take the matter to Parliament. But there was no reasoning with steel and vengeance. Amid the shouting, Rizzio clung to Mary, desperately trying to escape. but he was dragged into an adjoining room. Mary, now pregnant, could only watch in horror as a dagger was pressed to her own side, a cruel reminder that even queens are vulnerable. What followed was sheer savagery. Rizzio was stabbed a staggering 56 times, his cries drowned out by the fury of betrayal. In the end, it was Darnley's own dagger, wielded by another, that silenced him forever. His corpse was tossed down the stairs like refuse. The Carters of Holyrood ran cold with dread. The murder wasn't just a personal act of jealousy. It was a political message drenched in blood. Of course. Let's continue the journey into the shadows of history. Almost exactly a year after Rizzio's murder, Lord Darnley would meet a chilling fate of his own. One steeped in mystery, betrayal, and fire. His final days were spent in fragile health and increasing paranoia. Fearing for his safety, he left the palace and took refuge in an old lodging at Kirk-o-Field, just outside the city's core. Kirk-o-Field, nestled behind stone walls and iron gates, should have been a sanctuary, but it was slowly being transformed into a death trap. Unknown to Darnley, a plot had already taken root beneath his feet. Powder barrels were being smuggled into the basement, quietly, methodically, fatally. In the early hours of February 10, 1567, Edinburgh was rocked by an explosion so loud it shattered windows and shook foundations. Flames consumed the house. Smoke coiled into the sky. But in a strange twist, Darnley's body wasn't found in the ruins. Instead, his corpse, alongside his valet, was discovered in a nearby orchard. They bore no burns, no signs of blast trauma. Instead, both men appeared to have been strangled or suffocated before the explosion. A chair and rope found near the scene suggest they may have tried to escape through a window, but didn't get far. Scottish chroniclers and later historians, like Magnus Magnusson, noted bruising on Darnley's body, suggesting a violent death before the fire. Was the explosion staged, a smokescreen for an assassination already complete? Mary mourned her husband publicly, donning the garb of a grieving widow. But the court, the people, even Europe, were unconvinced. Was her sorrow real? Or was it a clever performance masking her involvement? Into this storm stepped James Hepburn, 4th Earl of Bothwell, a powerful nobleman with a dangerous reputation. Whispers spread that Bothwell had provided the gunpowder used in the explosion. More damning still, a pair of his men's shoes were found near the garden where Darnley died. Soon, the streets of Edinburgh were littered with accusations. Flyers and posters decried an illicit affair between Mary and Bothwell. Public opinion swayed dangerously. The Queen's image as a tragic heroine began to dissolve into something more sinister. The atmosphere turned hostile. What had begun as royal scandal now seethed with political danger. The question no one could ignore. Did Mary conspire to kill her own husband? On April 24, 1567, the Queen's journey took an ominous turn. While traveling along a remote road between Linlithgow and the capital, Mary's entourage was intercepted. Leading the charge was James Hepburn, the Earl of Bothwell, flanked by 800 armed men. The Queen, startled but composed, was told she was in danger. Only Bothwell could protect her. He escorted, or perhaps abducted, Mary to Dunbar Castle. The fortress, bleak and isolated, became her prison. What followed has been hotly debated for centuries. Mary later claimed coercion, while others insist the Queen may have been complicit. Did Bothwell force her into submission? Or was this an orchestrated union? Only days later, Bothwell's divorce from his wife, Jean Gordon, was finalized. Barely had the ink dried when, on May 15, 1567, Bothwell and Mary were married, less than 3 months after Lord Darnley's death. The marriage was a scandal. It outraged nobles, infuriated the church, and horrified the public. Whether Mary had been a victim of abduction or a willing participant, Her decision to wed her suspected husband's murderer cast a long shadow over her reign. Her advisors, already divided, turned against her. Rebellion stirred in the Scottish nobility. Many now believed that Mary had crossed a line from monarch to accomplice. The queen who once inspired loyalty was now whispered about with fear and suspicion. As uprisings brewed, Mary's once unchallenged authority was now contested. Where her reign had once symbolized unity between France and Scotland, it now represented chaos and betrayal. Her descent from queen to prisoner had begun. Historians remain divided. Was Mary a tragic figure, coerced by powerful men, her choices stripped away? Or was she a clever political operator, prepared to trade her second husband's life for a future beside Bothwell? The nursery rhyme may have absorbed echoes of this dark chapter. The queen's garden, a place of betrayal, not blossoms. A garden where silver bells, cockle shells, and maids all in a row may hint not at innocence, but power plays and executions. Her story, rich with paradox and tragedy, is not easily defined. And as history would show, Mary's fall was far from over. Following her marriage to Bothwell, Mary's support crumbled. In June of 1567, a coalition of Scottish nobles rose in armed opposition. Mary's army met them at Carberry Hill, but defeat came swiftly, not through battle, but surrender. The queen was captured and imprisoned at Loch Leven Castle, isolated on a lonely island. Confined, grieving, and likely suffering from postpartum depression after recently giving birth to twins, according to some disputed accounts, Mary's world was unraveling. Under immense pressure, she was forced to abdicate the throne in favor of her infant son, James VI. With a trembling hand, Mary relinquished her power. Her crown passed to a baby still in swaddling cloth, an act that would echo through the centuries, reshaping both Scottish and English royal lines. Yet Mary's tale didn't end in that stone cell. In 1568, she escaped Loch Leven with help from loyal supporters. For a moment, it seemed the queen might reclaim her destiny, but her forces were swiftly defeated at the Battle of Langside. With no home left in Scotland, Mary fled south into the hands of her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I of England. She sought sanctuary, but found captivity. For the next 19 years, Mary would live as a royal prisoner, shuffled between estates, monitored constantly, and kept far from court. Yet she remained a figurehead for Catholic resistance, a dangerous symbol to Protestant England. In 1586, English spies uncovered the Babington Plot, a Catholic conspiracy to assassinate Elizabeth and place Mary on the English throne. Though her involvement remains murky, intercepted letters bore her cipher and signature. It was all the justification her enemies needed. Mary was tried for treason, denied legal counsel, and found guilty. She was sentenced to die, a queen condemned by another queen. On February 8, 1587, Mary, Queen of Scots, walked calmly to the scaffold at Fotheringhay Castle. Dressed in scarlet, the color of Catholic martyrdom, she knelt before the block. Her execution was botched, requiring multiple blows, and witnessed with a mixture of awe, sorrow, and horror. Thus ended the life of one Mary, tragic, divisive, and immortalized in scandal. But the rhyme may not be about this Mary alone. An alternative, and even darker, interpretation connects the verse to Mary I of England, daughter of Henry VIII, known across history by a chilling name, Bloody Mary. Before Mary, Queen of Scots, ever wore her crown, another Mary ruled in blood and fire. Mary Tudor, daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, ascended the English throne in 1553. Her reign would last only 5 years, but it would leave scars that never fully healed. Mary was a devout Catholic in a kingdom reshaped by the Protestant Reformation. Determined to restore the true faith, she launched a brutal campaign to root out dissent. Over 280 Protestants were burned alive during her short reign, earning her the infamous title, Bloody Mary. Could the nursery rhyme reference her instead? Let's look again. How does your garden grow? Perhaps not with flowers, but with graves, each execution a seed planted in the soil of terror. With silver bells and cockle shell, these may not be floral decorations at all. Some grim interpretations suggest silver bells were a type of thumbscrew used in torture. Cockle shells, a euphemism for genital clamps or torture devices. A chilling metaphor, if true, and pretty maids all in a row. Some believe this line references the maiden, a guillotine-like execution device used in Scotland, or the long line of female victims led to their fate. While compelling, there's little concrete evidence that Mary Tudor used these specific devices. Her chosen method was burning at the stake, not mechanical torment. But the rhyme's language may be metaphorical, imaginative horror drawn from the public's perception of her cruel reign. Mary Tudor died in 1558, bitter, childless, and haunted by the very faith she tried to protect. Her desperate marriage to Philip II of Spain produced no heir. Though she believed she was pregnant, her growing belly turned out to be illness. Many saw this as divine punishment, a queen betrayed by her own body. So which Mary is quite contrary? The answer may lie in the ambiguity itself. Both queens lived lives steeped in contradiction, violence, and sorrow. Both were women navigating patriarchal power structures. And both, in their own way, were contrary to expectations, to their enemies, and even to history. Nursery rhymes, far from harmless lullabies, often preserve fragments of trauma encoded in song. Whether about executions, rebellions, or queens dethroned by scandal, their verses endure, quiet carriers of loud histories. If you've enjoyed diving into this dark corner of the past, subscribe to The Silent Lodge and tap the bell to never miss another haunting tale. We have more eerie legends, mysterious origins, and forgotten truths still to come. Who do you believe the rhyme is really about? Mary Tudor or Mary, Queen of Scots? Or could there be a third contender still hidden in the mists of time? Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never trust a rhyme at face value.